y'all, hey.
Hey y'all.
I'm Crystal.
And I'm Lisa.
And we are
That's right.
your favorite sister podcast, Unplugged.
Unplugged.
Look, watch the Unplugged. We have a huge announcement.
Yes. We've been going heavy on these Unplugged.
We have been.
Because they've been really requesting for some stuff.
Yes.
We're just trying to take a little break.
Yes. And they're like, y'all ain't got no content. Got content, stay with content. Right? So that's what we unplugging. So go watch the rest of them. We are, and we didn't even announce it, but if you go to the first one, the first several, this is on my iPhone. This is at my house. Like we are really like out here just doing what we want to do.
Just doing what we want to do.
And so if it's a mess, it's because we did it ourselves.
It's unplugged.
Look,
that's
the
what you
light,
get with
the
unplugged.
light may be a mess. I feel like the light might be a mess.
Listen,
right.
we had a guest pop in on the last Unplugged. Pop in real quick, very disrespectful with it.
She may very well come back because she's still in here. We're gonna try to keep these short just because we should keep them short. We talked last week. The last one was about what, like the vegan episode, how we not really vegan,
how we transition,
and also we're not. We was never no vegans. Also, how we're not authorities on anything, so y'all please don't look to Crystal and Lisa for nothing. But we said we're not authorities. What we're talking about today, Lisa?
What we talking about today? Like I say, like y'all be out here, y'all want us to put out some content, so we do go through our little comments, try to see what our little what you want to call them?
Viewers.
Our viewers, thank you.
Supporters,
y'all. Everybody, y'all are talking about what you guys might want us to talk about, and so we had a viewer that came in, and it was like, what was y'all experience like? Tell me about y'all experience at 30. Like, what did that look like? Talk to me about 30. So this is what we're doing today, guys. We're gonna talk about 30s. I say 20s versus 30s.
I say we're gonna talk 45 minutes and we get.
And see what you get out of it.
You want to start?
You can start.
Like
what? Listen. You typically, always kind of not always start, but what? What is
start, middle, and finish?
Yeah, you do. Y'all know how this go by now.
Y'all want me to start?
Y'all know how this go by now.
I need some lotion. This is really unplugged and embarrassing.
It's fine. Nobody noticed that you needed any lotion. You look good.
Definitely. And I have great
on this camera, like looking really, really, really good.
I need to lose weight. Anyway, that's all right. We ain't gonna talk about this weight loss that needs to happen.
I can start
start with 20s though.
That's what I was like. I'm gonna just start.
Like, there's a difference, right? I think if you watched episode 1 or 2 of the beginning of season 2, you find out that how we feel about aging and stuff like that. And I feel like I'm living literally my best life in my 40s.
In your 40s, absolutely, you really do. And I was the one that's like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm 40, and I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it.
I might be feeling 60, honey. I'm feeling things.
My body's starting to break down on me. So anyway, and I was talking about my hair and all that other stuff. But 20s didn't feel anything. 20s, I was able to get up and go and do whatever. But would I ever say that I would want to relive my 20s over again? I would probably say no to that. I think 20s for me was like trial and error. Took things serious, but not took things as literal or as serious as I should have in my 20s. Even though in my 20s I had 3 kids. I had 3 kids in my 20s. I still had room to play. I still had a lot of room to play. So I was definitely out exploring the world. I was definitely out. I don't want to say in them streets like that, because staying in these streets this day and age is a little bit more than just being in them streets. But I was really, I was really hip. I was really hip to the game. I'm going out to clubs, hanging out all the time, just doing things, honestly, that was a lot really irresponsible. But my kids always kept me grounded. So I was never that child or never that kid that was in jail or, doing a lot of wrong things. But I'll be out to 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, sleeping throughout the day. Time management was not where it should be. Yeah, those were my 20s. They were fun. They were fun and not managed. But as I got to my 30s, reality for me just started to kick in like a little bit more. I started to see a reality a little bit more for what it is. Like, okay, life is not really just all about fun and games.
Oh, right.
You know, there's more to life than just going out and going to clubs and partying
And you were married in your 20s, right?
And I the guy that I was with, I was with him since I was 18 and got married at 28.
So when, and I don't want to interject too much, but like when you guys were going out and we were in whatever streets we were in at that time, was he with you, or were you doing that with your friends and then come back to the relationship?
A lot of it was more doing it with the friends.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of it was out with my peoples, more so because I had somewhat of a homebody.
Okay.
And if he did things, he would probably do it with his friends and we'll catch up later. But I was still young, so I definitely it was more friends than the relationship situation. But when I got into my 30s again, I started realizing, like, realizing that there's more to this world than just going out all the time. And I knew I hit my milestone. I'm gonna call it, yes. I knew I hit my milestone. There's 3 reasons how I knew I hit my milestone. The first reason was you're going out with your homegirls consistently, and your homegirls call you at about 11 o'clock.
PM.
11 p.m., not 11 a.m., 11 p.m. And they're like, girl, we about to go out, we about to go, whatever. And you with it. You're like, okay, girl, I'm about to get myself together. I'm about to get dressed. I'll call you back. And you hang up that phone and you sit back like, dang, okay, hold up. I got to do my hair. I got to get dressed. I got to get my makeup on. This is probably going to take about another hour and 2 hours for me to get myself together.
Right.
And then I got to get there.
Right.
So all that stuff start processing and you're like, okay, I'm not going to get there probably until about 12 or 1 o'clock. And you end up not going.
Yeah.
So that was one. The second one is you got your kids, you running around throughout the day, you doing, your little day events with the kids, trying to make sure that they straight, but you plan something with your girls. 12 o'clock in the day, you with it. You like, girl, listen, when I get done with my kids, you hype. 10 o'clock, we meeting up. By the time you get home with them kids, after you done did everything that you had to do, running them errands, you realize you're tired. I can't go out. You gotta hit your girls up. You like, I've been running all day. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to catch y'all on the next one. And the last one for me was, and can I even remember it? Dang, can I even remember how I need to remember it? The last one for me is, I can't remember what it says. It's gonna come to me. I'm gonna come back to it, guys. I'm gonna come back to it. But when you hit your 30s, you will start to notice, because you're not doing the same things that you were doing in your 20s at all. You're not. Things just start switching up. And I can't remember what that third one was, but that third one was it. That topped it all for me. I cannot remember. I hate that I can't remember right now. And then you start feeling stuff. You just start feeling stuff in your body. You just start feeling stuff in your body. You're more tired. And like I said, reality just starts kicking in. You just cannot do the things that you used to do in your 20s. You cannot do it. And that's the only thing that I can really say. I'm passing on to you. And listen, guys, before this is over, we definitely going to talk about that third one. Because there is a third one that topped it off.
While I'm talking.
Okay.
All right. So for me, and I definitely experienced the tire, experienced the weight. But my 20s, so I got married very young. I got married at 20. And so I was married at 20, and I had my son. And so right before I turned 21, a couple months before I turned 21, I was married. And so like I was good, like, and I think we talk about this in the age one. Like I was ready to be a mom. I was in school, trying to get into my career, ready to be a mother, ready to be a wife. Like responsibility had not like escaped me. I was very, very responsible. And so because I was young, like I went to college, did the college thing, lived on the dorms, did the clubbing, all the things that you are supposed to do. I did that, right? Like, so I mean, I was in the clubs. I wasn't in the clubs like in high school, but Summer 1996. Tell about summer 1996, baby. Oh, okay. Talk, y'all. Baby, the Olympics was in Atlanta, summer 1996, baby.
Oh, shoot. Oh, yeah. You bring me some time back.
Talking about hot girl summer, baby. Oh, baby, I did all that. I did. Look, and then the next year, in 1997, I did Daytona Beach Black College Weekend. Your girl was there. You hear me? So so while I had children young, I don't feel like I missed out on a lot, because I was in the club every weekend with my friends. My best friend at that time was 26 years old. So I had 18 years old, had the fake ID. It wasn't fake ID, it was her ID, because they don't really be looking at this. And I remember the first time I got it, I was like, we don't look alike. And she was like, they look at the date, they don't look at the picture. Sure enough, I ain't never had no issues, baby. So I was in the clubs, I was dancing, I was doing my thing, and then like I said, I did all the college stuff too. Mm-hmm. So I don't feel like I missed out on anything, because when it was time to be a wife and a mother, I was ready to be a wife and a mother, mm-hmm. and so I was very dedicated to my family, dedicated, mm-hmm. To my husband. And I will say, where he fell short though, because this is immaturity and this is just being 20s. I could not handle him falling short, right? So it caused me to do things that I never thought I would do, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, and so I'm not gonna get into all of that. Mm-hmm. But I was not a model wife. I was not at all. I made some really, really bad decisions mm-hmm. in my 20s. You know what I'm saying? In regards to my marriage, and it was, and I will, not trying to give myself an out or whatever, but it was because you're in your 20s and you're married, and I wasn't married to a man in his 30s who had his. We was 21. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I think on that. I think about that a lot, mm-hmm. when I go back. I'm like, this man was 21 and he was raised without a father, right? So I expected him to. And here's the thing, he wanted to marry me. I actually wanted to wait until I graduated college. I'm like, okay, we can have this baby, because obviously I was pregnant and I got married. But I was like, we can have a baby, but we don't have to get married right away. Mm-hmm. But he was like, I think it just had to do with his upbringing. He knew, because we were dating for a while, so he knew he wanted to marry me. I knew I wanted to marry him. Mm-hmm. I really wanted to wait because I wanted to wear a better dress. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so but he didn't want, he was like, if I'm gonna have a child with you and I want to marry you, why would we wait? Let's go. I don't want to have an illegitimate child. And that mm-hmm. was his position. And that's my mom's position too. She was like, if you know this man you're gonna marry, you just being vain at this point, because your girl was vain. So anyway, but he still, so it wasn't that, I think he thought he loved me, and I think he wanted to be married to me, but he was a 21-year-old little boy. Be clear, I have a 24-year-old son and a 21-year-old son right now. I cannot imagine them being anybody's parent. As great as they are, I cannot imagine it being a situation where they are someone's parents. But so I grant him grace. Mm-hmm. At this age, I grant him grace. In my 20s, because like I said, I was, going to school, then working, then taking care of home. I didn't have no grace for him. I'm like, look, I'm progressing, you progress. And so it was when he fell short and made mistakes, I did not have a lot of grace for him in my 20s. Mm-hmm, so mm-hmm. we divorced by 27. But I feel like I was, and speaking to that, I was quicker to cut people off in my 20s. In my 20s, it was okay, you're kind of not doing my program. I don't have time for that. I don't have time to try to see your side. I don't really have a lot of forgiveness in me. I'm super good. And that was friendships. That was coworkers, associates. Mm-hmm. That was my husband, mm-hmm. right? I was, because you're young. And Absolutely. Then because I'm a mom and I'm trying to boss up, and mm-hmm. I would too shoot myself in the head for having said that just now. But I'm trying to do this thing and get things together, because I wanted to be a good mother. And so it was a lot for me to where I felt like he wasn't matching my energy, but he was 21. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so we didn't end up separating. I was 26, 27, I think ish. Anyway, so, but then I was wilding. I did a lot of different things. And so a lot of things I'm not proud of. Mm-hmm. And what's crazy is I honestly think I did those things. I'm still in my 20s, my late 20s mm-hmm. at this time, because I got married so young. Mm-hmm, so I can mm-hmm. say all day, 18 to 20, I was in a club, I was doing those things with my best friend, I had that life. Mm-hmm. But some of the things I did when my marriage was coming to an end and we were entering this separation phase, I lived this really wild, fast life. But I think it was because I just didn't get that out early. I don't think it would have been considered wild and fast if I ain't had no kids. I'm 22, whatever. But mm-hmm. I got 3 kids. I'm dragging my 3 kids along with me. Mm-hmm. And they were none the wiser. They don't know, whatever, because I wasn't in their face, but like I was doing things, and that's what resulted in, like I told you guys earlier, that I had to, my life was kind of all over the place. I had to end up letting them go to their paternal grandmother's home to live with her for about 11 months because I was so out of control. I just didn't have it together at 20. And this is after having been married, but I'm like reflecting on it now, talking through it. I do feel like I had a lot of pressure at 21, 20. I was ready to be a mother, ready to whatever. And I had all this pressure on me. And then it just became like, yo, I'm young. I'm not going to do this. Like, not that I didn't want to be a mom, but I just let the pressure go, you know? And so, and then I was just like in so much sin. It was so far gone. But that was 20s for me. Like I was kind of reckless. I grew to be reckless, but I don't think if I had taken on so much responsibility so young, I would have done some of the things that I did. Then and I wasn't seeking God. Like I was seeking God early in my 20s, but then after I got kind of where I felt like, you know, my marriage started to fall apart and things just weren't looking great for me, that's when I abandoned God in my 20s. In my 30s, when my kids came home, and I was younger than 30s, like 29-ish, some age. But when my kids came home, I was more focused. And I don't know if it has to do with 30s or the kids, but I was definitely more focused on my kids. Now, I still did go out. When I went to law school, that's when I did a lot of going out in law school. My mom was watching my kids while I was at school, so I didn't. And I went.
The fact that you can go out is great during law school, for real.
Let me tell y'all something.
Kudos to you.
BALSA, Black Law Students Association, baby. Okay. I was a member of that. And so we used to go out, we used to go to clubs, we used to, oh God, it was so much fun. And so I worked during the day and went to law school at night. And so my mom, the 3 days a week I went, she would pick my kids up from school. And so because I was in school until 10 o'clock at night, it was me being, you know, staying out, going to the club, doing all manner of things I was doing. It didn't matter because my kids was in the bed by 8 o'clock, so none of that mattered. But I still, and again, this is me, and I am not a proponent of people rushing into marriage and rushing into having children. And I know that it works out for some people. Oh my goodness, I know people get married at 18 and been married forever.
Yeah, shout out to a couple that I know on that one too.
Yeah, like that's a thing that happens.
Definitely so.
But that for me, I just feel like I did a lot of the things that I did in my 20s and my 30s because I, at 20 years old, was somebody's wife and mother. And so then I'm trying to recapture that time. I feel like maybe, you know.
I'm in your boat, you know.
Yeah.
I'm in your boat because I started early myself too.
Yeah.
But, you know.
And so it's like, okay, all the fun, you know, whatever. So, but while in my 30s, I was still like I wasn't doing nothing crazy, but I was, you know, hanging out with my friends. We going to the strip club, we going to the real club. We're, you know, vacationing and all of those things. And it was I was more responsible with it. I was definitely more responsible with my kids and all of that. It was really just a good time for the sake of a good time. I wasn't trying to do anything other than just enjoy my life. And so, and I think you have that, I think you have the ability to do that if you have a good support system. So I will say I did, you know, shout out to my mama because I didn't have to worry about her taking care of my kids. And then shout out to my friends, because I had great friends who would take care of my kids for me. But I feel like that was early 30s. When I graduated and y'all know my story, toward the end of law school is when I really found God. And I think that's the difference, is that less an age thing and more I really found God thing. And so there are some 20-year-olds who are mature in the faith at 20. And you know, at 20, so they're already mature in the faith. I was not. And so mid 33, 34-ish is when I really started to really seek God. And that calmed me down a little bit. I didn't feel the need to like be at the club and go to the strip club and just hang out all the time and just be with those, you know, a certain group of people. And these people were like professional people. This was not like the bottom of the barrel, but we was having a good time. But as I got more focused on God, then my life calmed down a little bit. And so, but I don't want there to be any mistake, with the exception of the 1 year that my children were in Baltimore. I was always focused on my children. And so like I was always active with them and at the school, and I was always doing those things. That maybe for a little bit before they went to Baltimore was a disaster, but I still, like, even when I got to law school and was partying and all of that, I'm still up in the morning because I took my kids to school every morning. I'm still room mama. I'm still checking homework. I'm still making sure you're practicing all your instruments and doing all your stuff. So people to look at me, because I had a professional job during the day, they would not think I was out all night. Like they wouldn't think any of that because I was just very much together. And so, but it was and I didn't begrudge having kids. Like, even when life was hard in my 20s, I never felt like if I'd have had these kids, right? Like, that was not my thing ever. And then in my 30s, like I said, I came more into myself, into God, and into my purpose in my children's lives. And so I was just kind of focused on that, and really focused on pursuing God and making sure that my children knew the God that I served, and was able to serve him the way, and know him the way that they were going to know him. And so I found in my 30s, but I was, while I think it was, like, I was really broke in my 20s. Like, and that's because, not by virtue of it being 20, but by virtue of having married a man who had no desire to, like, really do what it takes to take care of his family. And so it was like me doing all the work and all of that. And I'm coming from a perspective of a married woman. I don't know the viewer who wanted us to talk about it. I don't know where I don't know if they have kids or whatever. But I was robbing, definitely in my 20s, like, lights cut off, robbing Peter to pay Paul. I didn't have, like, I was buying, like, cars from Buy Here, Pay Here Lot Lisa. One time I had a car in my 20s from a lot that if you didn't pay on time, they would cut your car off.
Oh, really? Literally cut it off.
Yep,
they had the keys, forget the push button, cut it off.
A mechanism to turn your car off. So if you were like a day late, they give you the due date. 24 hours later, they cut the car off so you couldn't drive it. That was my life. What my life was, and so my cars were always breaking down. It was a nightmare. So in my 30s, I remember my last car broke down, and my boss was like, "Yo," because I didn't want a car note because I was scared. I wasn't gonna be able to pay it. And my boss was like, "Yo, go get a car. Go buy a car. Go buy a new car." And then I bought that little Sentra or whatever. And so the Sentra was fine, you know. But I was so happy because it was reliable. I had reliable transportation for me and my kids, you know. And so, but in your 30s, you really can look and see, like, what is necessary. I couldn't be on the bus with my kids or anything like that. Like, I needed to have things in place for my children. And just for me, and I don't know if I would have done differently if it was just me and I didn't have kids. But my 40s, I'm midway.
Were you talking about 40s?
I'm midway. I'm midway in my 40s now, and I am living my best life. And I say that because I'm married to a wonderful man of my dreams. You know, not that it's not met with issues, but I am married to someone who wants us to have a good relationship. I am completely and fully devoted to Christ, and devoted to my walk, and devoted to making sure that on the other side of all of this, like, that God is pleased. And I'm obviously more financially stable, you know, as an attorney, and I've raised my children well.
Absolutely.
And so I think that I will say the difference peace makes, right? And so I think it's less. Because honestly, I think I could have lived like this in my 20s had I made better decisions in my 20s. I think that's just what it is. If I followed God in my 20s, and if you're out there and you're a God chaser, right? Like, if I followed God in my 20s and I just went to school, because I was in school. Like, it wasn't even like I was just out here bouncing around. Like, I was in school pursuing my degree. So, and I ended up graduating in 4 years. Like, I did what I was supposed to do. So I just think if I had made, you know, better decisions, I could have lived this life in my 20s. Like, I would not have had to have waited. I'm thankful for the wait. I'm thankful that I have a testimony. And so that's for my children. Like I said, I have a 24-year-old son. Even though I want some grandkids, y'all need to know I want some grandkids. But I was talking to him about the little girl he was dating. And so, look, side note, somebody commented when I said something about his little girlfriend, they was like, you're being disrespectful, or you're diminishing their relationship. I am a black girl from Atlanta.
Grown adult with children.
I'm a whole call that girl his little girlfriend. Like, that's, and what's crazy is I love this little girl. Like, I think she's great. So I'm not disrespecting her. I'm going to call them his little friends. I'm going, like, that's, But people want to make something out of everything. Everything is an issue, you know? And so anyway, so I asked him, I was like, when you going to marry that little girl? He was like, Mom.
Hold on, slow down.
He was like, I believe he knows that this is the girl he's gonna marry, but maybe not. Look, honey, if you end up marrying somebody else, it's okay too. Like, I just love who you love, whatever. It ain't even Chris, I'm talking about Jay.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was like, you know, Mom, we still have to get to know each other more. Like, I believe she's the one, but because they've only been dating like 8 months. But I feel like he told me that he thought this was the one. So I'm like, yo, like, tell me the timeline of the grandkids.
Oh, no.
I'm trying to find out. Like, when are they coming? Because I'm a mama to my heart.
He's definitely still in his 20s.
Yes, he is 24. I want everybody to be very aware that he is 24 with no responsibilities, right? And so, but he is grounded in Christ, and so he has a really good life. So he's able to date, and he's able to live in the city, and he's able to travel, and he's able to shop, and he's able to pursue his career without like, oh my gosh, I have to not pursue this creative career because now I have a mouth to feed. Right. And so he's making really good decisions. So his life isn't decided for him. And I think that is the biggest takeaway I would give is like at this age, Lord, I've seen so much that it goes back to decision making. And so to be able to make really good decisions so that your life is not decided for you. Because if you're 20 and I was looking at a post on Twitter. I've been reading a lot of Twitter lately.
I see.
Where some people were talking about whether or not, having sex in high school and if they regret it. I didn't have sex in high school, so I don't really know about any of that. But a lot of people were saying, oh my God, I regret it. Oh my God, I regret it. And some women were like, oh, I don't regret it or whatever. But I don't think you should have sex in high school. That's my personal opinion. I think that for me, when you meet the person that you're going to marry, if that's the thing that you want to do, and you meet the person you're going to marry, I think wanting to have saved it would have been, because I remember, let me say this, both of my wedding nights, I wish I was a virgin. With my first husband, I'm whole pregnant, and I was just like, yo, like the night, it wasn't special because I'm about to have a baby, right? And so, so that's what a lot of people were saying, was like, yo, like high school, like you can just wait, like you can wait it out. But if you're making poor decisions, right? And so now your life is decided for you because one, you have a baby or you have an STD or your parents have not put you out because they told you they don't want that in their house. Whatever that looks like, right? Then kind of your life gets decided for you. And so I would want a hand in my life. So now my life isn't decided for me. Every decision I make is my own, so I have nobody to blame when I make bad decisions. It's my own. It's not fueled by the fact that I decided to have a child at 20 years old. You know what I'm saying? The fact that I got married at 20 years old to someone who was still in school just like me. And that's another thing. I wouldn't have married potential, and so, because we were both in school, it wasn't like he was just some bum off the street. He came down here, went to school. We were both in school. And so, but I didn't wait to see what he did with his education. And so I knew what I was on my education because I am such a go-getter. Like I am so driven, but I didn't wait to see about that. And so that's another thing I would say, like when you're looking at 20s, and you're looking at the person you want to marry, not that they have to, oh my God, you're making so much money, but what do they do with what they have? Like pay attention to that. Pay attention to if they're working at Publix and that they don't have any plan afterwards, or if they have a plan, see if they execute that plan. And it's one thing to hold somebody down, but it's like, see if they execute that plan. Or you might be 28 years old going through a divorce because you were like, okay, we both said we had plans. I started executing mine at 24. I gave you grace, and there was always a stumbling block in your way. But here I am here, and you never rose to the occasion. And so that's a big one for me. And I talk to my daughter, I talk to Kennedy about that all the time. Like, make sure you are not marrying potential. And can you make it and something happen and you get knocked out? That's real. But if you've already made it, you can make it again. And it's not about, I don't think it's about just like, oh, that person having money. I think it is about them being a go-getter. Yeah. Their ambition. Yes. And so if their ambition does not match yours, that's a mismatch. Yeah. But I don't think you can know that while someone is still trying to make it. Still young. And that's good. That's a good segue. That's good that you mentioned that. So if you guys have been paying attention and been following us for the 20 minutes or whatever, so 30 minutes that we've been talking, you guys know now that Kristen and I, we kind of share the same story when it comes to like having kids early, or like in our 20s. And so it might sound a little contradicting, but
if I was talking to somebody in their 20s, I would probably say, because it all depends. So like you said, if you have supporters and things like that, but if you're in your 20s, you're just getting out of high school, it's better for you to plan, you know, plan, not really even looking for men or not even men, looking for a boyfriend or looking for a guy. Because at that time, you really are trying to find and understand your adulthood. You're trying to figure out who you are as as an individual. So my recommendation would just be to find yourself. Find, you know, be ambitious within yourself. Find out what your career is, what you want to do. Go to college. Live your life. Live it fullest. Because even if you are dating or you're in a relationship, and again, there are people out there that are married to their high school sweetheart and they have had no complications. That's when you have found somebody with that same ambition. You have connected. Right. You don't get that often. You know what I'm saying? You still are out here trying to find these different dudes and things like that. But recommendation, go to college, live your best life in your 20s, figure yourself out first, and then once you figure yourself out, then go ahead, you know, to that next level, dating or whatever it is next that you're trying to do, have kids, because Crystal and I both had kids at a younger age, which we managed, you know, with the supporters and everything to raise really good kids. You would be surprised at 20. Right. But that's not the role that we're trying to, you know, influence anybody or everybody to go, because you didn't have the same lifestyle as Crystal or I, you know. It's like, again, if you don't have any supporters, you don't have family out there that can help you take care of the kids, that's going to set you behind. It'll be a major setback for you. Right. You won't be able to live your life, cut loose, or do the things that you need to do until that baby turns at least whatever. And we don't want to talk in absolutes, because some people whatever, but it is. In our experience, but for our support, look, I don't know what I would have done if I couldn't have sent my kids to live with their paternal grandmother, because I was so broke. I didn't have I had 3 evictions in a year, and we talked about that before. Like, I had nothing, so I don't know what I would have done if I did not have someone willing to be like, yo, get yourself together, and we will, you know, we'll figure this thing out with these kids, you know what I'm saying? And so but maybe you're independently, so I don't want to speak in absolutes, but it's still like, our life was decided for us to an extent, to an extent, like some of the decisions, like I remember when I was in college and explore, I say that because I'm Lisa military, so her father's military. She traveled, she saw the world. I did not. My parents were, like I said this a million times, like I grew up very, very destitute. So we didn't travel. Like, we went to like Florida, South Carolina, Alabama. That's literally it. And so I never saw anything. But when I got to college, I went to Georgia State here. When I got to college, this girl was like, I made this really good friend, and she was like, I really wanted to go to Penn State. And I was really smart. Like, I had 4.0 GPA. I did great on the SAT. But I went to Georgia State because I had a Hope Scholarship, whatever. And so she was like, I want to go to Penn State, but I didn't make the grades. So we became friends, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to go to Penn State too. Like, but I had never considered leaving Georgia because I didn't know nothing. You know what I'm saying? I think that's another part of it. And so and that's why I make sure my kids can, you know, my daughter's like, I want to go to Paris for spring break. You're in Paris. My son's like, I need to spend the summer in New York, try to figure some stuff out. Okay, figure out how you're going to, you know, find a place to live, and I got you. Because I don't want your life decided because you never saw outside of Georgia. You never saw. So now you thinking life is, you know, school and have a sex. You know what I'm saying? And so, I was so limited in my experiences and my ability to experience things that it was like, okay, I got a boyfriend. What do you do when you got a boyfriend? You had sex. Like, because we had no money like, we weren't traveling or anything like that. We were just like having sex. And so making bad decisions. Back to that.
And so my life got decided for me. And I just think that if you just have to stop, like I said, at 18, and this is a side note, but I'm not a proponent of 18-year-olds running to college, right out to college. Like, take a minute, explore, figure out what you really want to do, because again, your life, you graduate with a certain degree, and now your life is decided for you at 22. You have to, if going into college, you have to know. Yeah, what it is I feel like, I mean, or you can, you know, you can take some extra time. You don't have to graduate in 4 years, but the issue is, I just don't know 18-year-olds ready to really just go to college and decide their whole life at 18. You know what I'm saying? And so, like me, like, I took a 10-year break. I graduated in 2000 and then graduated and went back to law school in 2010. And so when I could have just made that if my life had not been decided for me, I could have made that my first choice, you know. But by the time I got pregnant as a junior in college, I was like, yo, I'm finishing out this degree. I'm not changing. I want to be out. I want to be, you know what I'm saying? I got a baby. I got to, you know, instead of stopping and thinking, and do you really want to do this, whatever, I didn't have any choice. And so, but it just comes with, you know, making better decisions. And so I think, well, I'm not going to begrudge my 20s. I learned a lot in my 20s.
Absolutely.
And so I had a good time in my, you know, I had some drama and I had a good time. I had a good time in my 30s. And you know, it was the knowledge of God that arrested me in my 30s. So even though part of my 30s, I was in a state of poverty, it was a different poverty than was in my 20s. Because my 20s was a poverty that I caused myself to be in, and I was panicky and stressed about everything. But when I got with God, and He just had me in kind of a waiting period, and that resulted in
Unplugged.
Sorry, I don't know what y'all saw, what y'all didn't see.
Unplugged.
But I had a waiting period that resulted in, you know, me not having a lot of money. It was a different feel. It was because He still took care of me. I didn't have to send my kids anywhere. I was still able to pay my rent. I was able to pay my car note. I was able to keep my kids in all their activities and all of that. But that's because I was latched on to God. And if I had that in my 20s, I don't know how far it would be right now. And my 30s have just been a time of just like newness for me. Like I've seen a lot in my 40s, and I've now that I'm here, and now I don't want to say I'm more relaxed because I'm working my behind off with my firm. But if I had started earlier, you know, I wouldn't be here doing that. But I'm trying to set myself up for like an early retirement or early walking away from this position. And so, but my 40s, I'm happy. I have more, you know, I've raised my children. They're doing really well. I have a husband who loves me and I love him. And I have God for real. Like, and so I don't, you know, I told you my husband, I was kind of going through some challenges, and I was really like leaning on the Lord, really. But in my 20s, I would have just been like, yo,
walked out.
I don't got time for this. This ain't what God had for me. You know what I'm saying? Is there a God? You know, I was easily like, is there a God? Is there now? I'm just kind of like, yo, like I know there's a God. This doesn't feel great. What am I gonna do about it? You know what I'm saying? And so, but that's the wisdom of the 40s, having seen some things in your 20s. And so I don't begrudge any period at all. You know, I don't wish I could do anything over. Yeah. I don't.
Each decade was a life learned experience. For growth, for wisdom, for a better transition, whatever. But yeah, I don't think I would take back anything either, honestly, at all. If I wouldn't have gone through the things that I went through in the 20s, my 30s wouldn't be, you know, wouldn't have been what they were. Especially now in my 40s. Now, definitely within the 40s, you live and you learn. And things are really looking good too. Things are up. Things are up, you know, my way, just like how you're expressing experience in the 20s. So, well, some people are born into Christian and born into knowing God and things like that, but it's like Crystal said, it's very important though, even at a young age, even in your 20s, you know, to follow God, to know God, because, you know, in your 20s, you are reckless, you are loose, you are just getting out of high school, and you're vulnerable. You know, so that you can make a lot of bad decisions. So just leaning in on God could, you know, help you down the right path if you're doing that. I remember what I was gonna say. Back to them 30s, that third thing, and everybody has experienced it. I know you used to go out during the weekdays, during the days where you worked.
Oh yeah, easy.
Easy, and wake up and be able to get to work.
That's right.
But once them 30s hit, nah, once I stopped going out on the weekdays, that was enough. No. That was it. It was over for me.
But that's not with me. In law school, I was in my 30s and I was going out. Yeah. And I remember one time I ain't never been no big
weekdays.
On the weekdays, because that's the only time I could. The weekends, I had my kids. And, you know, I didn't have every other weekend. I had nobody help me out. I remember one time I went out and I was dating a guy, and we had gone to something, I don't know, but I had a tequila sunrise.
Yes.
And I ain't no big drinker.
Yeah, you not.
And girl, I couldn't get to work the next day. I called my boss and I was like, yo, and she was really chill. I was like, I can't. I went out and she was like, I'm not letting you off because you're hungover. You better figure it out.
Oh, shoot. And you told her. You told her. You was very transparent with her. You let her know.
She was
cool.
so
Okay.
cool. So I was like, yo, I'm not feeling well. I don't know if I'm big. And she was like, you better figure it out. You ain't stay home for no hangover. And so I did. I figured it out. I mean, she would have let me stay home, but I did go to work so I could tell her about the night. You know, she was hilarious. But no, like I could do. Let me tell you something. I could do all of that, but like I said, it comes with. I think I was fueled by not having gotten it all out of me in my 20s.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, and it was a good time. So I'm not going to pretend like, oh my God, I don't know why I went to the club. Because it was fun.
It was fun.
Right? Like it was fun in my 20s. It was fun in my 30s, right? And so, I mean, I don't have a desire to do that now, but I've done it all. But I do say if I could leave one tip, and y'all know I ain't no authority on nothing, but it would be to make decisions that are not going to result in your life being decided for you later. And so if that looks like, you know, finishing school, if that looks like starting a business, if that looks like, you know, breaking up with someone, if that looks like, you know, deciding to be abstinent so that you don't run into, you know, having a baby or whatever. I'm not going to talk about abortion, non-abortion, whatever. But make decisions. When you're making your decision, like, don't you have to understand that most decisions are the prequel to another decision, right? And so if I make this decision this way, is this going to result in me having my ability to decide later robbed, right? Or taken away? Okay, I'm using bad language, and so that's the thing. And I don't think in your 20s you think that far, because in your 20s I have a piece of hair that's driving me crazy. Unplugged. In your 20s you are literally, you feel like you're invincible. You feel like nothing can happen to you. Yeah, so you're like, okay, like I'm good no matter what. I'm good. I had sex that I knew I could get pregnant if I had sex. Like that wasn't a thing that I thought couldn't happen, but it was just kind of like, it ain't gonna happen to me, right? Like, and you always think in your 20s, to me, you think it's not gonna happen to you. In your 40s, I'm like, I always think if it ain't gonna happen to nobody else, gonna happen to me, right? Like I have lived enough to know I'm not the exception to the rule, right? But in your 20s, you think you are not the exception to the rule.
You were trying it all. Yes,
and so I would, if I had advice to give to some 20-year-old looking at this, make sure that the decision you're making today is not going to result in you not being able to make your own decisions later. And when I say that, I mean, and this is if you desire to be a good person, right? Like you could make a decision today and be like, I don't got to be a good mama. This was a mistake, baby. I don't care about that. That's not fair. But if you say, you know, I want to be a good mom, but at 20, me having, you know, unprotected sex or whatever may result in a pregnancy, and now I'm going to have to drop out of school, or now I'm not going to be able to do this, and now am I going to, you know, now I have to wake up in the morning with the baby, or figure out daycare, or you know, now I'm burdening my mother, and it's a strain on my relationship because now I have this child, and is this the man that I want to be with forever, and what's it going to look like if it's not when I get with the man that I want to be with forever? So all of those things, now you've made this decision to have this unprotected sex, and now your ability to choose is limited. Yeah. And so that I would just say, you know, if you can't plan for everything, so that's a lot. But if you put some thought into it, I really feel like a lot of times at 20 you don't put the thought into it. You're just living very, very recklessly. But I also think that that advice can be taken into anything. If I make this decision, how is it going to affect my ability to make decisions in the going forward? Not whether or not I fail or succeed, but can I keep making my own decisions after this has been decided? And if the worst case scenario is I can keep making my own decisions and there won't be a strain, go for it. But if it's like, no, because I don't get to decide whether or not I'm going to get up in the morning because I got a baby and I got to get up in the morning. I don't get to decide whether or not I, you know, can take an extended summer vacation because I got a child. Or because, you know, I don't get to decide to go and live in the city and pay, you know, $5,000 a month for rent because I wasn't able to finish my degree, or made a decision to not degree, because school ain't everything. Be clear, you can be an entrepreneur. But again, make sure that the decisions you're making do not impede your ability to make decisions going forward. That's what we got for y'all.
Plan accordingly.
but make each what you will hear if you haven't heard this, if you didn't surmise this from listening to us. Every decade got better.
Every decade, absolutely, yes.
It got better,
decade
and so that's why I imagine 50 is gonna kick 40s behind.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine that I am going to be much better, and so and this is, we didn't talk a lot about like looks and you know whatever. I'm gonna tell you this, I can barely wear heels anymore.
Yes, that's a good one.
It's the weight for me. It's the weight for me. Like my knees and my feet be like, what? Look, in my 20s, I'm 123 pounds.
5-inch stilettos.
Honey, out here,
walking the
here,
runway.
right?
Can't say anything
I
to
didn't
me.
want to be. You didn't want to see me in no flats, honey.
Okay.
You never did.
What?
Honey,
Then
now
you can own a pair.
I have every designer bag you could think of. I'm gonna keep my flats in there. Like they're gonna be in, because them shoes gonna be on my feet. Maybe I try to make a little appearance. I went to this very fancy, invite only high end dinner the other day, and I had some Jimmy Choo flats in my bag that I wear to court sometimes, and then I had some red bottoms. And I put the red bottoms on after being at work all day because it was right after work. My feet, I really physically wanted to cry. And so I wore them to walk into the event. And I was like, yo,
that's it.
I'm going to get these shoes out. So I had to wear my flats for the rest of it.
Yep.
And I hate it. I don't even feel good about it. Like, it's not even like
That is another decade of, if you don't experience in your 20s. Once you get in your 30s, mid-30s, something like that, that's when you start, you got to have that back up.
Mine didn't start to my 40s.
Into your 40s? No,
yeah.
mine started mid-30s. It wasn't, like, smooth transition, but sometimes...
But I didn't start getting this weight for the last couple of years. Okay. Like, when you met me, I was not this heavy.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think that mine has to do with the weight, because I do see women older than me in 5-inch heels, and I'm like, but they're also smaller than me.
I don't know. I don't know what to say. I mean, I can say weight too, but I think it's more than that too.
I don't know. I hate it though.
I
did buy some cute.
You can get, like, your feet you get flat footed, like your arch starts to drop a little bit.
You don't gain all this weight. I bought some cute little Alexander McQueens the other day that I wore last night. That are they're high. They're not super high, but I was like, oh my god, they didn't hurt at all.
Oh, that's great.
And so I was telling my husband, I was like, I just want 100 pair of these in different colors.
Oh, not 100.
Yes.
You could at least get like seven.
One
for each day of the week.
You know how I am. I have a whole bunch of unnecessary stuff.
Very much so.
Look, my husband.
I don't need this. Here, take it.
Look, he's like, what you want for Mother's Day? And I was like, yo, like, I have so much stuff. Like, just stuff. I'm paying these bills off. I do, like, I have so much stuff. And I was like, oh, David Ehrman bracelet. The last David Ehrman bracelet he broke me. It broke 3 different times. Like, the pearl fell off. So he had to keep taking it back. And he was like, I'm not buying you another David Ehrman bracelet.
Hey,
but
I would say the same thing.
I bought myself a David Ehrman bracelet, and it's great. It's not.
Nothing has happened to it.
But I don't think I'm gonna buy anything else because I have
too much
much stuff. So I think I just feel like gross about it.
No,
like I do. When I go into my closet and I have remember I bought like 5 Chanel bracelets no.
When you buy, it's like you buy in bulk.
Yeah, I buy too much stuff. I bought this yesterday.
Oh, you did? Mm. And I like it, and it's nice. Sorry. Yeah.
But I still too much stuff.
I ain't gonna lie, I didn't notice it.
Yeah, it's too much stuff. I like it. I mean, I've been needing a silver necklace like this, but I'm not gonna buy none else. I'm gonna put myself on low. It's not even a spending thing. It's just like I'm a consumer at this point, and I'm tired of consuming. I think so.
Okay.
I'm gonna take a little break.
No, you've done years of consuming.
Years of consuming. Yes,
definitely. So that's why you can sit down and take a break.
Yes. And who would have thunk that Crystal Wright in her 40s would be talking about I have too much stuff. I do want a thumb ring too. Like it's insane.
Here we go.
If I can't wear it every day, I don't want to buy it. That's the thing.
Okay.
And so I wear my rings every day. I don't mind
it.
But if it's not something that is I want to put on my wrist, I don't even wear my Cartier bracelet. Dad had that bracelet. I don't even wear that. So if I can't wear it every day, I'm not gonna buy it.
Okay. That's some discipline.
Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
Discipline yourself.
Look,
Discipline yourself. At 20s.
In your 20s, you got money, baby.
Yourself.
Buy it up. Buy it up.
And discipline yourself.
All right, y'all. We appreciate y'all for rocking with us.
Yes.
This is another episode of That's Right Unplugged.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we have a major surprise coming to y'all very, very, very soon. Thank y'all for rocking with us. If you have anything else you want to hear from us, again, we ain't no experts, we ain't no authorities. But if you want to hear some black girls chit chat about black girl stuff,
that's it.
Leave a little comment. Put it in the DMs. We love y'all.
Thank you.
See y'all later.
Peace.